Don't get me wrong, you have to be cost conscious and profitable. I understand everyone comes into a business with different levels of capital. But if there's anywhere that you should not be trying to save money, it's on the marketing. Welcome to the I Fired My Boss franchise podcast. My name is Dan Claps, founder and CEO of Franchise Playbook, a franchisor platform where we create, own, and operate dynamic franchise brands in the mobile services space. And my life's goal is to help people just like you fire their boss and become a business owner.
And I'm Christian Dadalak, top franchise consultant and co-founder of Real Franchising, a leading franchise consulting firm. And together, we're on a mission to help people fire their boss, hire themselves, and live the American dream through franchise ownership.
All right, welcome to a new episode of the I Fired My Boss podcast. Very excited to get into this today. This is the solo episode for me, Dan Claps, CEO of Voda Cleaning and Restoration, co-founder of I Fired My Boss podcast. We're coming up on our 131st episode. I think this actually is our 131st episode. And I was looking back, started this podcast in 2021. And so we've been at it since then. And over the years, I've been pretty consistent, but I'd say this past year, maybe even year and a half, as Voda's gotten very busy, I've kind of fallen off the wagon with creating content, and I want to make a commitment to recording, 1 to 2 episodes a week, starting now, with great sound quality. I was reading, I just want to make this podcast as valuable as possible. So, do me a favor. I need to get the podcast more out there. I give this content for free. I have nothing to sell you. I just could ask for one thing, which is to go on to the reviews and leave a 5-star review. If you love the podcast, leave us a review, take your thumbs, click that little 5-star button and leave us a quick review. I'd love to get this to 100 reviews. Right now, we're only at like 39 reviews or something. Help me get this to 100 at the time of recording this. It'll be super helpful. And really my goal is to start documenting the journey of growing Voda and my career and business. So today I'm really excited about the topic that we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to be talking about lead generation secrets for home services, really like what I know how to do to help a home service business or really any business get more customers faster, get more customers in general. I'm not even going to say for cheaper, because when we get further along into this podcast, you're going to understand why, to me, the cheaper is not what's most important. And we'll talk about why. But, most home service businesses, they're leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table because they don't understand lead generation. And the truth is they're not focused on it. And it's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things and then doing more, right? Quality beats quantity when it's done properly, but quantity beats just quality every time, right? If you can produce high quality leads and a huge quantity of them, you're going to have more success. And so obviously there's, you have to not only be able to lead gen and then sell and fulfill, you have to be able to then deliver the services, right, at a high level. But let's assume that we're going to figure out the capacity constraints as you get further along, right? Let's talk about this. This podcast is just all around getting leads and turning them into customers in a home service business or really any business. And so for anyone that doesn't know me, I'm Dan Claps. I'm CEO of Voda Cleaning and Restoration, and I've helped dozens, close to 100 franchise owners scale their business and helping them today. And in the 10, 11 years I've been in franchising, probably 1,000 people have bought a franchise through some level of my businesses or content or companies that, that have generated that type of persona to get them into franchising. I love it. I was born to do it. I think my mission, I was put on earth to help people become a business owner, and I love it. I think business ownership really does give you the lifestyle. Not just monetarily, forget the money part. I think business is the ultimate self-development program. It's 24/7. It never ends. It will constantly test you as a human being and make you better, make you more humble, kill your ego. It will make you more patient, more hardworking, more grateful. If you're growing a business, the bigger your business grows, the more you have to grow as a person. And so I love business for the fact that it is the ultimate self-development program and that I can help other people join that journey, that emotional roller coaster, mostly positive, sometimes negative, but that's what makes it great, of business ownership. And so today I'm going to break down exactly how you can generate consistent leads for your home service business without, you know, wasting money on what doesn't work. Now, I will be clear. When I say without wasting money on what doesn't work, there's a great saying out there. Um, Let me look it up while we're talking. It's like 50% of my marketing works. I just don't know what 50%. Let's see. I just want to give credit to that. Um, John Wanamaker said, half the money I spent on advertising is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know which half. Now, in this day and age, you have dashboards and Google Analytics and things to kind of identify and quantify where your dollars are being spent. But the reality is, with marketing, you have to understand it's an investment. It's not a dollar for dollar return. You are going to have money go out there. That doesn't work. But we're going to break that down, as well. So when I think about the pillars of lead generation around marketing, referrals, and retention, um, the whole idea is around filling your pipeline. And so let's talk about what really works. Most home service businesses are throwing money at Google Ads and Facebook without really understanding what actually converts. And that's like filling a bucket with holes and the water filling in and then leaking out, right? It's a waste. And so the solution that I have to this problem is, really there's a few places that you need to focus on. Let's start with the basics. Okay. Your Google My Business page is the most important page that you can focus on outside of your website. Your GMB, your Google My Business. If you were in a business like a retail location, picking the right area that was in the perfect part of town with an anchor like a grocery store being right there, and you're visible to the traffic and it's beautifully placed, and people come into your store and it's clean and looks nice, and it's not repelling people away, right? The way I think of your Google My Business page is it's your storefront. You need to have that completely optimized. You need to have as many five-star reviews as you humanly can get. That is your shiny windows, if you will, if you use the analogy of it being a storefront. You need to have those five-star reviews, as many as possible. You need to have an optimized Google My Business profile with great photos and your address accurate and no typos on the site. And really the most important is those five-star reviews. Then you've got your website. And your website, again, is also like the storefront, but I would like to think of the GMB like the windows you're looking through. If I think of New York City, I'm walking along Fifth Avenue. I see Saks. They have the beautiful Fifth Avenue windows where you can look in and see displays. That's your GMB. And then when you walk in the store, then treating you nicely and it looking great inside of the store, that's your website, right? And my favorite analogy to people with websites is they have people go to their website, they fill out a form, and like they don't respond right away. And my analogy is like if you had this beautiful storefront and people came into your store and you were in the back of the store and not going up and talking to the people and saying, oh, we're not making any sales. It's like people are coming into your store and you're not selling to them. That's the analogy of the website when people go there and they're not being interacted with, which we're going to talk about with responsiveness, potentially chatbots on your website, around having people dedicated to responding to people right away through your call center. There's this whole like lead optimization, lead conversion component that we'll talk about too. But then you got to think about, your paid ads. And what I would tell you is in almost any home service business that Google has this, you have to focus on LSA ads. You have to spend energy and money and time on local service ads, Google guaranteed ads. They are the best. These are intent-based leads. But the only way you're going to get great GMB, local service ads is by having your VMB page optimized, having, over 100 five-star reviews, having your time in business be a long time, which that you're just going to have to work towards, right? Just time will do that, doing a great service. And so where I want to start with this is before we talk about lead gen, what I want you to start to think about is how can I get as many five-star reviews as humanly possible, right? And what you want to do is you want to create an environment where people want to, and they're incentivized to give you five-star reviews. I was just in a restaurant in New York City recently, and this was a crazy, great experience that I had. I went to this steakhouse, had a beautiful dinner, and I remember thinking, like, why is this steakhouse popular and the 50 other ones in the area aren't? And it all had to do with the way that they serve the food, right? All the steaks are great, but it was the way they presented the steak and they treated you. And our server was just so charismatic and so nice. And we were joking around, and Tony and I were joking around like we're kind of on a diet and trying not to eat the bad foods. And yet he knew that it was Saturday night, we're enjoying a nice steak dinner. He kept kind of persuading us, to eat the bad foods. It was kind of funny. And At the end of the night, he brought over a free dessert, which was awesome. He said, "Hey guys, I really enjoyed, serving you. This was on the house." And we were super happy to, although we didn't want to eat the dessert, it was great. It was free. We ate a few bites of it and, or all of it, maybe. But, later on in the night, as we were getting ready to pay the bill, the manager came over and asked us how the service was. It was a great service. John was awesome. And the manager said, John's one of our best servers, really great guy. If you could do us a favor, leave John a review, a 5-star review now, if you can. We're actually doing a competition where John actually gets, $25 for every good review that he gets per person. If you guys leave us 2 good reviews, each of you, he'll get $50 extra on top of the tip that you're going to give him. And when you get a gift from someone, the likelihood of tipping more. There's a study on this. I'm actually going to bring it up as I talk about this, but it goes up substantially. And so what happened was John gave us this free dessert, didn't ask us for anything. The manager actually, thinking back, like it was a really, obviously they planned this, but I didn't think of it at the time. The manager told us, if you want to help John out, who you love, you thought he was great, leave him a review about our restaurant. And he'll get $25 each, right? So instead of me tipping more, I could not only tip more, but I could leave them a good review, which is what they really want. And John would get a bigger tip. So what do you think we did? We left 2 5-star reviews and left there happy, raving about going to that restaurant to our friends. If you could pay $25 for reviews and you had 100 reviews, right? I know, you might think, oh, I don't want to waste money. If there's anything you spend money on, it would be getting 5-star reviews, right? If you had $25 per, and you had 100 reviews, you spent $2,500 and you had these 100 reviews all of a sudden, that's amazing. Now, I'm not saying fake it, right? We were happy customers that wanted to leave a review. They just made it a little bit easier and a little bit more of an incentive for us to do it. And, I'll tell you about the gifting. How much I'm going to look it up as we're talking, did tips go up when servers gave a free dessert? So let's see the percentage. A little ChatGPT search here. So what's interesting is, just to give you kind of the stats on this, a study highlighted by the Help Scout found that when servers offered mints to diners, tips increased by approximately 3%. And when servers personalized the gesture by bringing 2 mints and mentioned them to their guests, tips increased by 23%. This suggests that personalized, unexpected gestures can significantly enhance the dining experience and lead to higher tips. It's not about doing more, and it's not about rocket science. It's about doing these little things that are simple but not easy. Leaving that review, us leaving 2 5-star reviews, and that compounding effort. Let's look it up. I'm curious how many reviews they have.
If you'd like our help investing in a franchise at no cost to you, head over to ifiredmybosspodcast.com and fill out the form to schedule a free consultation.
This was Rocco's Steakhouse in New York City. They have 2 locations, and they've got this incredible GMB page, right? That's their storefront, right? When I look at online and I look at 438 5-star reviews, this is the key, right? And so you need to look at, when it comes to your GMB page, you need to look at it like the storefront that you have to make beautiful. You have to have lots of 5-star reviews. And then you have to have a website that's completely optimized to convert leads. Because when people walk into your store, AKA your website, when they come through the doors, you don't want to be sitting around having your team in the back not talking to your customers, in this analogy. You want to have forms and chatbots and people on the other end to answer the phone and start selling to the people that come into the store. And this is the basics that if I could stress anything, it's learning that. Now, what I'll tell you, when it comes to local service ads, you have to also identify, when you do a local service ad lead, right? When you do a job from a local service ad, you got to go to the home, you got to get the GMB review. And then you also got to get, people don't realize this, there's a local service additional link in the local service profile where you can get an additional review there. And you want to get a review on the spot because Google can see where you're doing it. And you want to get photos of before and afters and smiling faces. And you want to literally think of that is the most important thing you do before you leave that home. At Voda, I always talk about this famously because we had tremendous amount of 5-star reviews. We would, the next day after a service, call up and ask the homeowner how it went, and then ask for a review and send texts and emails, etc. And our reviews went up 47% one August when we realized that we should just ask for the review right there on the spot. We printed out beautiful QR codes that we now bring to the home. And while we're finishing up, we ask for the review right then and there. Our reviews went up 47% by just that simple little change. And so if I can stress anything, it's focusing on ensuring that you get great 5-star reviews and as many of them as you possibly can. And then focusing your budget on local service ads. Little trick. This is one of my big secrets on local service ads is if you run a budget, your weekly budget at the max capacity you can do on LSA is over $100,000 a week. You're not going to hit it, but Google will reward you for having that kind of budget. People are afraid to do it, but I will tell you that will increase your LSA substantially. Putting your max weekly budget at the max they allow, because you're not going to get that many. There's only so many LSA fish in the pond anyway. And so LSA is key. Spending your energy on LSA is everything. Now, if you're just starting out, I'd spend about, I don't know, 70% of your budget on Google, on intent-based marketing. Facebook's great for brand awareness, but I put the energy on LSA and I put the energy on that intent-based marketing, and then I put in PPC, and then I put about 30% on, this is just my ideas, onto Facebook, as an idea. Now, I will be clear. I offer a franchise opportunity. We have an item 7 and investment and FTD. That is not what I'm saying necessarily to invest with Voda. If you join a Voda, we'll go through what's in the item 19. But if you take the general sense of home services in general, I'd say I'm using these figurative numbers, meaning like I put more of my budget toward Google than to Facebook. Okay. Not 50-50. I think it should be more to Google than to Facebook when you first start out. Now that can vary based on the service offering, like cleaning business, Facebook can work, another restoration doesn't make any sense, right? In plumbing, it can be different than in roofing. So I'm giving you a general sense, but my general advice is do more of your ads on Google than on Facebook when you begin, but do have a mix. So what you want to do is you really need to understand that you can't just run digital ads. You have to spend money on LSA. You have to spend money on Facebook ads and digital and SEO. And you have to understand that you really shouldn't be looking at your cost per lead. It doesn't matter if a lead is $1, $10, $100, $1,000. What matters is your CAC, your customer acquisition cost, right? If your average ticket is $4,000 and your CAC is $1,000 and you have a high profit margin on that $4,000, you don't have a lead problem. You don't have a conversion problem. You could focus on trying to get that down to $750 CAC to save $250, but your spread's not that much of a difference. It's not worth it. I'd rather see you say, all right, every dollar I put in the machine, I get $4 out, right? And after my margins, I make, whatever profit. I'd rather just find a way to put more dollars into the slot machine, if you will. Meaning, if I'm getting, $4 for every dollar, let's put $10 instead of $1 a day, right? And using these as, round numbers, right? Instead of $100, let's put $400. Instead of, $100, let's put $1,000. Right. And you can see those conversions go up. And that's how you scale. You scale by understanding that if your CAC is strong, and by the way, a strong CAC could be in the beginning, good CAC on the internet is 4-to-1, right? In other words, I spend $1, I make $4 in revenue. But when you're starting out, if you're not losing money, then you're winning because you want to take market share. Right? Unless you're spending $1 and making, losing $2, it's worth it. Even if you're spending $1 just to make back $1 to get your business and your trucks and your people out there and your branding, and you're going to build a business for the long term. You didn't get into business for tomorrow or for this week or for this year even. You're in business to change your life. And you don't change your life over a month. You change your life over 18 to 36 months of dedicated focus to your business. And then you see the freedom come. And so it's not about squeezing every dollar. It's the biggest mistake. The number one mistake I see new business owners making, especially in home services, especially in franchising, is spending all their energy trying to whittle down expenses. You will not save, especially on the marketing front, you will not save your way to a business success. You have to, don't get me wrong, you have to be cost conscious and profitable. I understand everyone comes into a business with different levels of capital. But if there's anywhere that you should not be trying to save money, it's on the marketing. Save it somewhere else. Now, I'm not saying go below we'll talk about scoreboards and dashboards. You can't just spend money on something that isn't working. You have to track and trust but verify. But when things are working, the biggest mistake I see people do is they turn the leads off. I'll tell you a quick story. I used to be in the lead generation space for franchise consultants in the past. And the biggest thing I would see people do in my business then was they would get into the business. They'd start buying leads. They would make a placement 3 or 4 months later. But guess what? A month in, they turned their marketing off because they got scared of the money going out. And then when they made some money 3, 4, 5 months later, they were like, all right, let's turn the leads back on. It's like, well, now you're going to have another long cycle of not making any money. You see what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make sense. That is a broken model. You have to keep marketing going at all times. And the best way analogy I can give to you, especially if you're in home services, you're fortunate, right? You're not in brick and mortar, right? If I owned a chain of Dunkin' Donuts, right, locations, and it was, COVID, or it was something happened, or, people weren't traveling, I got to still pay that rent, right? Whether people come to my donut shop or not, I got to still pay that rent. We are lucky to be in home services where we don't have this capital exposure to paying rent. And so leads should be rent. Leads are like rent. You should think of it like, I'm going to spend this amount of revenue, 5-10% of my revenue on marketing at all times. But when you're starting out, it can't be 5 to 10% of your revenue because your revenue is zero, or, whatever it is. You have to forward invest. You have to say, all right, if I want to go to, blank number of dollars a month in revenue, then I need to invest that amount in marketing now up front, forward ahead of time. And that's the hardest part. Marketing, when you should have your marketing up? When sales are up. And when you also should actually, believe it or not, double down on marketing? It's when sales are down. And it's counterintuitive. It feels like the shoreline is washing away, right? And taking all your stuff. And then you have to put more stuff into that water, knowing that it's going to come back, right? Imagine like you had a sandcastle and you were building it. You had buckets and toys and shovels, and the water came and took all the sandcastle, washed it away, and all your buckets. And then you had to say, throw like your towels and your buckets into the water while it goes away, and be like, it's all going to come back. And then hope that all of it come back tenfold. That's how marketing works. If there's an analogy I could try to visualize, it's like all the water is going away, and you have to kind of like go with the tide and jump into it, take that leap, and turn the marketing on to make it work. You can't not spend the money on the marketing. Double negative there, but you have to spend the money on the marketing. It is key. And now you have to create. Well, if I'm going to focus on that for another minute. Like, you have to invest in the marketing, and you have to understand that your CAC will go down. Meaning, if your CAC's $1,000 and your average ticket's $4,000, and you want to get it to $500, that's great. But that'll happen naturally over time as your business grows and you have referrals and you have more brand awareness. You have more referrals. In the beginning, spend the money on the marketing. Do more instead of trying to do less. If you're sending 100 emails, a week to prospective referral partners, send 1,000 or 10,000. When I start a campaign, like in my previous business, we were making 150,000 calls a month, over 1 million emails a month. It wasn't, when we had results, it wasn't that we had these crazy conversion numbers. It was that the sheer number of volume. And anytime I've ever met someone more successful for me, I've noticed they do more, not less. They do more marketing. Now, I'm not just saying go spend a bunch of money, but go knock on doors more. If you're seeing 3 people a day that can influence your business, get you and your team to see 5. And that is what I'm going to leave you with on the simplest thing around lead gen. This is simple and not easy. And I know people don't want to do it, but you have to, which is you and your business, whether it's you or your business development rep. You have to go out there and see 5 people a day that can influence your business. You got to say to yourself, and you can't cheat yourself, new people. I talked to 5 new people today that can refer my business that I can also refer. Realtors, roofers, plumbers, painters, whatever your business is, the people that are the greatest circle of influence, right? In our business, plumbers are great. Property managers are great, right? I got to say to myself, if you're a franchise owner, did I talk to 5 property managers or plumbers or realtors or people that can influence my business new today, and 25 for the week? And you know how you know that? You take business cards, you put them in the CRM, and you look back. Did you put 25 business cards in CRM this week? Today, on Monday, did you put 5? No? And today's Sunday. Okay, let's say tomorrow. Tomorrow, I go out there, and I don't get 5 property. I got only 3. Don't go home. Get more influence out there. Hit the BNI. Go sub at BNI events. That's a little secret no one realizes. You can go be a sub at BNIs. Let's say you're a member of BNI. And then other BNI chapters need a sub because we all need to, sometimes do other things. And you go and you sub, and now you're taking awareness from other groups too. It's so important that you understand do more, not less. When I was in BNI, I was going to BNI 2-3 times a week. And I read a book called Never Eat Alone. And I would go to lunch with somebody and dinner with somebody and networking after work. And I was meeting people at all times, which, by the way, great book, Never Eat Alone, all about networking. This is a short one. Wanted to give you some tips. I'm going to have another episode on lead generation in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. Please do leave a 5-star review or any type of feedback. And thanks again. We'll see you soon.
You're fired. If you want to say those words to your boss,
Make sure you head on over to ifiredmybosspodcast.com and fill out the form to schedule a no-cost consultation. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might also want to fire their boss.